Hi everyone, I hope you're having a good day. I wanted to do a quick video on what I blogged about today, which is the Sabbath. Oh my goodness, this has been something that I have been kind of working on, wrestling, if you will, with the Lord for about 9 months. We recently did a podcast episode on it over on a Cup Full of Hope podcast, and now it's all out there. And so I thought I would do a blog post on it, and of course now on IGTV. So I really just want to talk through the logistics of the Sabbath. What is the Sabbath? Why do we Sabbath? And then a little bit of my journey on it as well. But again, there is a blog post on it you can check out, and there's a whole podcast episode on it. So what is a Sabbath? A Sabbath is simply a day to rest and worship. A lot of you are probably familiar with that. What we might not be as familiar with as Christians is actually Sabbathing, right? Many of us know about the terminology or what it means, but if we're actually implementing it, it's probably a whole different story. So why do we Sabbath? Well, Sabbath is, first of all, it's biblical. If you think about in scripture, if you go back to Genesis, it says that God made the world in 6 days, and on the seventh day he rested, or in other words, he Sabbathed. That Genesis 2:3 says, God blessed the seventh day and made it holy because God rested from his work. Okay, so if God had to Sabbath, then we probably do too. So it goes on to say in Deuteronomy 5:12 through 14, observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy, as the Lord your God commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. There's more scriptures over in the blog post. I'm not going to read them all, but the Sabbath isn't just this great idea or a belief system. This is actually a command from God because he understands how necessary it is for us to rest. If I think about working out, I used to work out every day and sometimes twice a day. Guess how hard that was on my body? Well, it took me a while to figure out that if I actually take a day of rest, my days of working out will be much more productive. I actually will be fitter and stronger and faster if I decide to rest instead of work out every day. Why? Because my body needs a day to recover. That's essentially what the Sabbath is to our spiritual life. Our bodies and our minds and our soul and our spirits need a day to recover. And so that's what the Sabbath is. So what might this look like? Well, logistically, you want to pick one day a week. It does not have to be a Sunday. It most likely will be a Saturday or Sunday, but you might work on the weekends. And you take a day to what? Rest and recover. Now, a Sabbath isn't like I'm going to sleep all day, although you can definitely sleep, or I'm going to be lazy and I'm just going to binge watch a reality TV show. That is not a Sabbath. A Sabbath is communing with God. So it's going to look different for you than it does for me. What works for Caroline isn't always going to work for you. My Sabbath, what I love to do is get outside if the weather's nice, go on a walk or run, go to lunch, go sit on a patio, go sit in our backyard, read a book, spend time with my husband. We like to worship together. We haven't yet done this, but it would probably be fun to do a puzzle or a game. So again, it's communing with your family. It is connecting with your family, and it is communing and connecting with God. There's some Sabbaths I have not even opened my Bible. There's other Sabbaths where I've spent hours and hours in the Word. It is not supposed to be a day of, okay, well, the Sabbath is religious, so I need to just read my Bible all day and worship God. That's not what the Sabbath is supposed to be. Think about your ideal day to do whatever you want to do that is not that does not include work. That is what the Sabbath is. It is not doing dishes. It's not doing laundry. It's not going to the grocery store. It's not running errands. Not that we have to be legalistic about it, but really the 6 days leading up to the Sabbath is prepping for your Sabbath. And then your Sabbath will feed into the next 6 days of work. So I would encourage you when you're entering your Sabbath to get your house prepared. It's really hard for me to Sabbath if the house is a mess. And so I have found that everything needs to be in place. That way, when it comes to my day of rest, my mind can rest, my soul can rest, my spirit can rest, and I can enjoy the day. In addition, I need to send off those last minute emails. That way, my mind is not thinking about it on the Sabbath. So again, this is very, very important. I don't feel like it's talked about much, which is really why what was so sacred to me at one point is what I wanted to share with you today. Because I'm like, why did no one tell me this? Yes, I read it in scripture, but sometimes you need a friend to kind of push you along. And so I'm here to ask you, one, are you taking a Sabbath? Two, What does that look like for you? Something else I want to mention is a Sabbath is not the day to scroll all the news sites on your phone, to get on Instagram all day and Facebook. It's actually a day to put away your phone as well. If you need to send a text message, send a text message. I know a lot of people who Sabbath actually put away their phone like it is, they don't even touch it. And I think that is amazing. And I hope to get there absolutely soon. And I honestly should be there. But I just want to remind you that it's not a day to just waste away. It should be refilling you up. It should be rejuvenating you. I also want to say this: your 6 days of work will be much more productive and fruitful than it will be if you were working 7 days and not Sabbathing. Why? Because this is a godly principle, and in the kingdom, God rewards us. Think of Hobby Lobby. Think of Chick-fil-A. These are two of the biggest companies out there, and what do? They close on Sunday, but yet look how fruitful their 6 days is. They are the perfect examples. They have gone before us to show us how to do it and have proved to us that, look, even if you're shut down one day of the week, you can still be fruitful. The same is going to hold true for you. And if you're thinking, oh, you don't understand, I own my own business, or I currently work 80 hours a week, I work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, I don't have time. I want to tell you, you don't have time not to. You literally cannot afford not to Sabbath. And again, I'm telling you this because I love you and I want to see you, press in to the season of rest and recovery again, because it took me so long to do. You might also have a personality much like mine that would work 24 hours a day if they could. This has been a very ugly process, if you will. There's been a lot of detoxing for me because I have been addicted to work. And so I talk about that much more in a Cup Full of Hope podcast. So I encourage you to check that out. So again, the Sabbath is not going to make sense to your mind because the kingdom math is different than the world math. But is a Sabbath biblical? Yes. Do you need to take a Sabbath? Yes. Will it look just like my Sabbath? Probably not. I do encourage you, get your spouse on board. If you're not married, get your friends on board. If you have children, get your children on board. I can't wait for the day we can teach our little kids how important it is to rest, to recover, to connect, to commune, because they're going to need to know this principle just as much. And I hope that blesses you. I hope if you have not yet taken a Sabbath, you see the importance of it, you find this encouraging, and that it stirs in your heart to start resting. Again, once you rest, those 6 days of work are going to be so much more fruitful. I believe that God's going to multiply your time. I believe that what you're going to be able to do in 7 days, you're going to be able to do with 6 days, but have extra time to do it. He will reward you. He will bless you. And this is all about saying, Lord, listen, I love you so much that I'm not going to make an idol of work. I'm not going to make an idol of productivity or to-do list. I'm going to put you first in all things, and that includes with my work and with my time. So again, I encourage you to check out the post on In Due Time. I encourage you to hop over to A Cup Full of Hope. You can find it on any podcast, or you can go to acupfulofhopepodcast.com. And I hope this blesses and encourages you. So let's keep each other accountable to resting, recovering, and Sabbathing. Have a great day.